AF Bornot Dye Works is an adaptive reuse project of a series of turn-of-the-century warehouses into retail and residential north of Center City in the Spring Garden, Fairmount neighborhood of Philadelphia.
I think what's interesting and novel here is that we were able to effectuate a $10.7 million project with effects of $700,000 of cash equity.
Philadelphia development company Partners bought the project using crowdfunding, along with federal and state historic preservation tax credits and industrial development loans for the retail. It was owned by a community group that had purchased the buildings as part of a larger vision to improve the neighborhood, but then turned it over to Partners.
Our company really loves to redevelop old buildings, particularly warehouse loft-style buildings, and to be able to basically get almost 3/4 of a block worth of buildings that are dilapidated but have great bones that we can restore really enticed us.
The project includes 4 buildings, with a 4-story boutique rental apartment building on the corner.
So we have the building we're sitting in now, which is probably the most architecturally distinct of them. And rather than try to cram as many units in here as possible, we said let's create really generous sized loft homes with really high-end finishes that would attract a niche market of people who don't want a cookie cutter rental.
We wanted to keep that industrial look, that real raw kind of feel about it.
And a lot of times with these old buildings and the way they're laid out, with the windows and the columns, they almost dictate what they want to be. We were able to source windows that replicate what was originally here. I'd say one of the hurdles that we encountered was the adjacent building next door. We had to pull off the brick facade and go back in with new bricks. We had to locate brick to match a 100-year-old brick.
Next to the lofts is another warehouse converted to 2 floors of retail and a parking garage for the project.
On the retail side, it was all about bringing in service-oriented retail that would be good for the neighborhood and also an amenity to the building and to the tenants that live here. So you look at the gym, a yoga studio, those are things that the tenants who move in here will be able to use. And while we only have 17 units, we can offer those 17 units amenities that you find in big high-rises. So that's the gym, that's the indoor parking, that's storage units, that's a bank on the ground floor, a coffee shop on the ground floor.
On the other side of the retail building are 2 more residential buildings.
Rather than create more lofts, we said let's create 2 loft homes within the existing structure, basically cut the building in half and have 2 3-story homes. And then there's a 4th building that is a really classic concrete loft building that's located on the private street behind here. That's just going to be more traditional kind of loft units.
Construction on the project was a challenge. Working with what was inside,
Once you start opening up walls or pulling things out, you find hidden conditions.
And everything around the project.
It's really vertical construction. We have no space to lay down. We're right up against the neighbors in Mellon Street. So that's been an ongoing concern for us.
The developer also had to replace the original contractor with just months left of construction.
It's basically a restart. Once a project is started by another general contractor or construction manager, you have to go back and you have to analyze everything that they did, talk to all the subcontractors, talk to the vendors. Vendors came out of the woodwork that I never heard of that were owed money.
While working through all the construction challenges, the development team saw an opportunity to engage the community with social media, giving them an inside look at the evolution of the project, building anticipation.
We just toyed around with it. Instagram, we really, real estate is so visual. We viewed it as such a great tool, and we really are active on it and showing what's happening. People respond to that. People contacting us about renting lofts, even though we haven't started marketing yet. And I think there's just a lot of excitement because this 3/4 block area was a dead zone. And so it basically created its own blight. But by bringing this back to life, it's really going to extend the retail corridor out here along Fairmount Avenue, kind of just tie everything together.
The opportunity for retail was one exciting part of the project that drew Partners over from the adjacent Brewery Town neighborhood, where they had worked on several redevelopment projects.
Going back to just the project and conceptualizing it, when we were brought in by the community group, we put a big value on the retail. We felt that the retail was valuable. Every other developer they brought in, which was about 4 or 5 others, thought the retail was the albatross for the project, and they couldn't figure it out. But because our primary business of redeveloping the Brewery Town neighborhood, which is adjacent to here, revolves around using retail to drive residential on a retail corridor called West Girard Avenue that's not nearly as developed as Fairmount, we felt that this retail had a lot of value. And so we were able to offer more than anybody else because we knew we could land quality retail.
When AF Bornot Dye Works is delivered in spring 2016, the mix of retail and thoughtful design of the units will offer Philadelphia renters something they can't quite find anywhere else.
The windows we didn't skimp on, obviously. The finishes we really didn't as well. I think the units really turned out beautifully.
They could have done more dense units. I think that the idea was to sort of set this apart by the size. I just love how dramatic the windows are when every unit you walk in, the symmetry of the room, the way the windows lay out. It's perfect.
And as far as the Spring Garden Fairmount neighborhood, AF Bornot Dye Works offers a valuable new piece of real estate.
The buildings got saved. I mean, these could have gotten torn down. Someone could have come along and said, I could tear these down and build a CVS. I think it's important that interesting old buildings like this get saved. I also think it fills a hole in the donut. It basically ties everything that's happening on North Broad Street, a couple blocks that way, to the Fairmount neighborhood, and then continues tying it into Center City. And I also think, for our company doing a project like this, certainly continues to put us on the map and position us to get other projects like this, because this is the stuff that we like to do.